Steve, I'm going to start with you just because you stimulated a question in me early on when you said that you wanted to fix the fundamental flaws in public education. And so I thought I'd ask you somewhat briefly, as you can, but to tell me what you think the fundamental flaws in public education are and what solutions you think the State Board of Education might have for those.
Well, one of the fundamental flaws is counterintuitive. Most of us hear that teachers need to be trained to be teachers, and that's true enough. But there's this common wisdom that isn't very wise that says the more training we give a teacher, the better they're going to be. And it just doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. So, from my experience, and this is just one of the fundamental flaws, I was able to teach at the community college, but I wasn't able to teach in a high school. And I taught for years at the community college, but I was never welcomed into a public school because I had not paid the toll. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes, no. That helps.
All right.
The deal is that forcing all teachers to go to a prescribed amount of teaching in order to qualify is counterproductive, and it hurts our poorest neighborhoods the most. And when I learned that years ago, I dedicated my life to someday being in a position to address that. So the way it sort of works is this. This is an oversimplification. It's a very involved issue. It's very involved. There's a lot of money involved. Our colleges of education are very important to our future. But when I get to Topeka, I'm going to try my best to get colleges of education to focus more on primary educators than on secondary. And so it sort of works like this. Again, this is an oversimplification. When Blue Valley goes to hire a chemistry teacher, say, they can usually find somebody who knows chemistry and is certified to teach secondary science, and probably somebody who absolutely loves chemistry and would like nothing better than to get their students really going 100 miles an hour and understanding the difference between, say, ionic bonding and covalent bonding and all the rest of it. But I've been around enough to know to not pick on any Kansas districts, so I'm going to pick on Kansas City, Missouri, because we know that they've had some expensive failures over on the other side of state line. When Kansas City, Missouri goes to hire a chemistry teacher, they're lucky to find anybody certified in general science. So the very regulations that we have come to enjoy and love here in Johnson County are actually detrimental to some of our poorer districts. Now, there are plenty of other flaws I'd like to work on. I don't think we should pay teachers based mostly on seniority. I think we need to evaluate teachers with a variety of checks and balances. There's first graders to evaluate teachers. You won't get particularly great evaluations. They'll just vote for the teacher that gives them candy on Friday. But if you ask middle schoolers, and especially high schoolers, who are the best teachers, they'll tell you. And talk to the parents and have peer review, and all these checks and balances could come into play in a better evaluation of teachers. The way we feed the kids with the federal free and reduced lunch program, it's 40% waste. 40% waste. There's a lot better things we could do with free and reduced lunch. So those are just a few of the fundamental flaws that I'd like to work on when I'm in Topeka.
Thank you. I'm going to go back to what Mr. Roberts just said about Kansas City, Missouri. I think when you look at Kansas City, Missouri, they cannot be compared to Kansas schools, at least at this time. There have been at least 17 superintendents in 20 years. What that tells me is there's no stability. There's no continuity. And I doubt that there is any real set curriculum and teacher development to carry through those programs in a positive classroom setting. And when you hire a teacher, you want the best of the best. We have the ability right now in Kansas, there's a 2-year program. You can come from the workforce into a school district, and while you're teaching, you are taking the classes that are necessary to get your degree. That's very positive because there are some parts to teaching that experts sometimes may not make the best teachers. I've seen that in the middle school where the best and the brightest came in, but how they relate to students, they didn't have that technique down. And so students were having a difficult time learning geometry. When you start the year that way, it makes it a very, very long year. What we want are teachers that have had the pedagogy and model system to help them teach a wide variety of students. Our classrooms today are not like they were when I was in school, and I'm over 60. I will tell you that. We had the same course, the same subject matter, same curriculum. Today, you may have a class of 25 individuals, and you are creating 25 individual education plans because we want every child to be successful. A person from outside who may be the best in math may not know how to approach how you make those individual plans for all of the students in your class. Not only that, but you have special needs students in those classrooms. You also have at-risk students in other areas. You may have BD, behavior disorder students in that room. So you have a wide range of students that you are trying to create the best environment and the best learning environment. We also have many classes that have ELL students. Those are English language learning students. When you blend all of these, a person has to have the background, the education, and the understanding of how to teach to each one. Next, I would say that, when we talk about peer review, Kansas just got a waiver from No Child Left Behind. And part of that is looking at evaluations. Shawnee Mission has one that pretty much goes by what is needed. There may need to be some tweaks, but those kinds of things need to be, again, established within the umbrella guidelines of the state school board so that your local school board can create the best evaluation for their district as long as they have met the guidelines that are given to them by the State Board of Ed. Again, we are a local control state, which allows for each district to play a large role in deciding the issues. That's because local districts know their constituents, they know what our parents expect, and they know the communities. The last one I would say is free and reduced lunch. Free and reduced lunch is an at-risk program. And that's how we arrive at the free and reduced lunch rate and those that get that rate. We have many students that don't fall in that range. And I've heard Mr. Roberts say that possibly we could do all free lunch for all students. Would that be?
There's no such thing as free lunch, but we should make food available to all the kids.
But the issue here is, if you look, and I'm going to use Shawnee Mission as an example because that's what I know best. If we supplied all food for all children, I can tell you there would be a lot of other places that we would not be able to meet the needs of students. It is a multi-million-dollar program, and it is self-funded. And so if we were to open that door to everyone, you've got to take that money from somewhere to pay for the lunch program. So someone else is going to be cut. And in the situation that we are now, where we don't have enough money anyway, or funding is low, that would be a very difficult decision, I think, for any school district to make. And I don't think there's any district across the state of Kansas that could afford to do that. Thank you.